I have a mysterious guest. He's a masked man, but he is not the Lone Ranger, and I think he may be my first masked guest. So, with us, Heinrich Lyle, author. Nice to have you with us,
Nice
Heinrich.
to meet you, Sandy. As Monty Python troupe famously said, and now for something completely different.
Yes, you are completely different in many ways. So, a new author, love the mask, by the way.
Thank you.
New author of a book called Shameless Dick, Odyssey of a Cad. This is...
I don't know, first for you, probably.
It is. I thought it was about a private investigator. It's not. It's about a man named Richard.
Yeah, Richard Linden is his name. He's an aging gigolo, actually, and he's sort of at the end of his career, and he's trying to make that one last score, that one big score that's going to set him up for life.
Because he supports himself.
He supports himself, but he's getting less and less capable of doing so in his profession, so he figured he better try to make one last grasp for that brass ring before he
yeah, there's a life to
gigoloism,
I guess, you know. I mean, obviously he's a good-looking man. He's still a good-looking man.
Still a good-looking man, you know? But not quite in his prime
But
anymore.
yeah, I mean, it's a tough job. I think you'd get over it. But then he gets a really special offer that he can't refuse.
Well, he gets the offer to marry into a very rich family and to sire a child with that family, and then sort of spend a few years with that family just to save face, and then fade away and hopefully live the rest of his life in luxury.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. I read this book last night. I went, oh my goodness, you know, Heinrich's going to be on tomorrow, so I started reading it, and I was worried about television because there's a little bit of, it's not so much graphic language, it's a little bit of, you know, colorful language,
it's definitely
if you
for
will.
Adults. Sure.
And obviously, if you're talking about a gigolo, you're going to have some things like that, you know.
Sure, but it's really not graphic. I mean, any scenes that might turn graphic, I take the old-fashioned Hollywood fade to black sort of for the end of each chapter, because it's really not that. That's really not what I'm going for.
No, and I enjoyed the book. I read it from cover to cover last night, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I found I couldn't put it down, and you're a very, very good writer.
Well, thank you.
So I know our listeners, our watchers are going, help, what about the mask? So why the mask?
Well, I think we live in a small community up here in the Prescott area, and I do have a day job, and I just like to separate my artistic life from my professional life, shall we say. I don't want to embarrass family and friends or anything like that, or be recognized in the community for anything but my regular day job. This is sort of a little sideline.
And you were not a gigolo. We need to say that.
I was not a gigolo. I've never been a gigolo. I once was an actor. And by the way, as an actor, I'm a huge movie buff, and I listen to your Cineminute movie reviews regularly, so I'm a big fan.
Thank you, Heinrich. I'm flattered, because you have been in the movies, you have been on TV.
I was an actor in a previous life, yeah. I did a lot of television and a few films, and mostly guest villains of the week. But when we moved to Arizona, I left that behind me and started what I hoped would be a literary career.
Well, I'm telling you, you actually have it. I've read a lot of books. I love books, and you are a very good writer. This is unusual.
Well, coming from another writer, I appreciate that very much.
Thank you. It is very unusual. The formatting is unusual. Tell us about the book.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that, to me, I was reading Dante's Inferno as I was writing this, and he wrote it in what they called a terza rima style, which is these little three-line stanzas that you see in the book. And when I was reading his, it really inspired me to mirror that, minus the rhyme scheme, because that would drive everyone crazy. But I really wanted to mirror that because I feel this is this own character's own descent into purgatory. It's really like my own Inferno, or the character's Inferno, and his descent into the lower depths of purgatory, really.
Well, it really is, because his family he gets into is very unusual, and he doesn't know.
He has no idea what he's getting into when he marries into this family, and there is a supernatural element which I don't want to give away, because that's supposed to be really well, as Hitchcock used to call it, the MacGuffin, the little that moment that everything hinges on. And so without giving anything away, yeah, he has no idea what he's just done.
And again, this is very unusual. I mean, the cover with the syringe and the blood is a little telling, but not in a gross way. I mean, people can read this book and not be like grossed out or worried about it. It's fascinating. Now you're going to be reading from and signing this book at Peregrine coming up.
Peregrine Book Company in Prescott, yes. We're going to be doing a book reading, a Q&A, and a signing Saturday, the 16th of September. And I'm really psyched about it, that they're willing to take a chance, because I see their normal roster of authors there are a lot more mainstream than this material.
Right,
so I'm
right.
very grateful that they think enough of the book to give me a chance to do a reading.
Again, it's very, very unusual. I've never read anything quite like it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, I found your writing to be very riveting. And I love the fact this format, you don't put any quotation marks, but you know exactly who's speaking, and then you have in italics the thoughts going on. And this man is quite a character. Actually reminds me of a very good friend of mine in Las Vegas. His whole persona, his whole personality, a little obstinate kind of guy, But I absolutely
well, the character, he definitely gives me a chance to voice certain thoughts that everybody has, but you're too socially aware to voice in public.
Which is why you were wearing a mask, Heinrich Lyle, sort of.
Sort of,
the nom de plume of Heinrich Lyle, we might say.
That's
Again,
right.
so Shameless Dick, reading and book signing coming up at the Peregrine in Prescott, and that is Saturday the 16th at 7 p.m. You will love this book. I'm not kidding you. It is a really amazing book.
Thank you, Sandy. And if anyone wants to get the book, it's available on Amazon or at Loose Moose Publishing.
Wonderful.
On their website.
That sounds good. Information on screen, worldwide available. Thank you so much, Heinrich Lyle. And
Thank you.
An eye out for a new book coming out by Heinrich Lyle as well. All right, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Sandy.